So Alex thank you so much for joining my YouTube channel and also おめでとうございます. Level one, you completed.
Yeah.
Amazing. And so Alex can you talk about yourself like in English or even in Japanese? Where you from or what do you do?
アメリカのカリフォルニア出身です。アメリカ基地で働いています。So I'm a Marine. I work on base in Okinawa.
How long actually have you been living?
6月。
Just 6 months. So far, how's the life? Do you like it?
I do. Yeah. Okay. So Okinawa is like kind of a little bit, I would say, Americanized just because of a lot of military bases. But 一回 Tokyo 行きました. So I've been to Tokyo once. That was a good experience. It's like very, very different from Okinawa. Okinawa's like, kind of slow, like island life. But you get a mix of, foreign tourists and then tourists from mainland Japan too. So there's like local Okinawans who maybe are a little bit
Mm.
different from like people who live like mainland Japan or near the major cities. And so I've kind of been able, learning a little bit of Japanese, been able to like kind of interact with both. I think it made my trip to Tokyo like infinitely better. I went with my girlfriend in November, I think, with like the little bit that I learned about like getting around, navigating train stations and taxis and things like that. And then even just like minor casual conversation, I think made our experience so much better. We were just walking down the street and some older Japanese gentleman just like waved us in. They came in and kind of like ordered and like kind of spoke a little bit of Japanese and he thought it was really cool. And he spoke a lot of English too. And then the group of people, like, it was just this, all of us trying to communicate. And we ended up staying there for like an hour or two. And it was like a really fun time.
Amazing, amazing. And then when you actually go out Tokyo or even Okinawa, if you actually pick up top three most useful conversation, what do you pick up?
Predominantly my interaction, where I speak Japanese is, so I have a dog and I walk him a lot and I live like right next to the beach, just like popular like tourist area. So every day when I walk, and he's a big dog too, so I walk him around and I hear koi ne or oki ne, like because he's so big. And then I'm like, oh, sabate mo daijoubu desu yo. He's like, nande tai desu ka? Like, do you want to like come in? Yet? So like that kind of creates like an interaction. And some people ask questions or like basic things, or some people like ask where I'm from and things like that. Or so it's just like I've had a lot of like different interactions. Kind of made some Japanese friends like follow each other.
Mm.
I think that's like the dominant. And then maybe going out to like restaurants or things like that here. But in a lot of the establishments around here, I think a lot of the people that work there are trying to learn English, so they try to speak English as much as
Mm.
possible. So I respond in Japanese sometimes, and then it makes like a good interaction, and then impress my friends and stuff. I guess I don't know, but that's like here. That's kind of the predominantly what I do. My Japanese speaking interactions.
Amazing. Right. So the top number one conversation is about your pet. If you actually pick up another two, which actually topic did you like it?
So the other topic would be just general like conversation, kind of like a lot of interactions of just like kind of introducing yourself and talking about like
Mm.
where you're at and like what you're doing and like what you like to do. Obviously, like
Mm.
it gets kind of tough getting further into like learning things because like you have no idea where a conversation is going to go when you interact with
Mm.
a
Yeah.
stranger, especially if like for example, we went to like Tokyo and then just talked with random strangers in a bar and they thought it was
Mm.
spoke a little Japanese, and we thought it was cool if they spoke
Mm.
English and kind of interact. And I think those like conversations are very genuine. It's like really fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then third, I think is like helpful things like just getting a taxi, like saying I want to go here or there or whatever,
Mm.
or just asking about stuff like, oh, hey, where's the train station? Like, like for the getting around and navigating and like
Yeah.
stuff like that was I think I had a restaurant reservation one time and I like asked
Mm.
like try to be
You did
like
a reservation on the phone?
I made it online, but I couldn't tell if it worked or not because I didn't get an email. So I had to call them and be like, I have a
Ah,
reservation, and like
wow.
it ended up kind of it worked out, but you know what I mean? So like
Amazing. That's pretty
like
difficult, right? On the
people who
phone.
can, yeah, no, it was incredibly difficult. But I think yeah, that having some basic stuff like that is super helpful. Also, yeah, people are much more receptive when you can communicate. So
That's amazing. About the language learning. So before you start learning Japanese with Japan Language Factory, did you have any experience of language learning?
not specifically Japanese. I think in high school we take
Mm.
foreign language classes. It's like French and Spanish, so it's like learning a language, but those are like Latin derived languages, so like the grammar structure is very similar to like US, and then some words you can kind of almost tell just by, and the alphabet's the same. So it's like not nearly the same in any way whatsoever as learning Japanese. But, and also that was in high school. So that was like 15 years ago. So it was a very long time. And then when I got here, I didn't really know how to go about like studying or learning. And then, so there's like tons of apps and technology. But I think for the first couple weeks, I would use like whatever app I was using 10, 20 minutes every day. And I'm like, I didn't retain or remember anything that I was like learning. And I'm like, I think like I was using Duolingo, and it was like a week straight of like the same lesson over and over again, which is like, I guess, good for repetition. But it was like how to order like something in a restaurant, but it was like the wrong thing. Like people don't say that. Like when you order something in the restaurant, you don't say like, mizu sai. Like you don't say that. You say onegaishimasu. Like, so like learning this thing for a week, and it's like, that's not even how people use it or what they say. So I'm like, what is it? And then I noticed I wasn't like really retaining anything. And then I looked at other apps and tried that. And like, I just didn't know how to like make the connections or like try it in real life. When you're live one-on-one with an instructor, like you're trying it, talking to an actual physical person by like speaking into your phone or something. So that's like really helpful.
Yeah, you're learning the language, but it's not natural to really speak.
Not natural at all. Yeah, I think the benefit of having like an instructor was, I'd go into like certain situations, like, all right, hey, I ran into somebody like walking my dog and blah blah blah, and then I kind of ran out of things to say for what I know, and then but I'm like, they said this, or I think they said this, and I would try to sound it out, and she'd be like, oh, they probably said whatever, they were probably trying to say this. And that's how I learn. And then like the language is context based anyway, but it really gets specific into like, when am I going to use this? Like, let's study that, not like whatever is the app directs you to study.
Yeah, exactly. That's what is our concept of learning a language. But its majority is like this, the you just follow the textbook, and you remember, maybe Spanish or French in the high school. You have a grammar study, you have a flashcard, and you take a test, and
Mhm.
somehow you end the class. And after that, like, what can I speak, right?
Right.
How do you see that? It's like we don't start from grammar, we don't start from spelling. It's all the opposite. How was it, the experience?
Yeah, I think once you start, it's very helpful, like right in the beginning, because especially for me, like, okay, context based situation, like, okay, now I have a few things that I can say in this situation that I run into frequently. And as you go on, you're like, okay, but I know all these portions of phrases, and the conversation that you practice doesn't exactly go like that in real life. Right. But what I notice is as you learn, new phrases, like you learn new vocabulary, and then in different tenses, like if you're like past tense, present tense, or future, like I have done, I will do, I want to try to do, like as you practice different things in different situations, different contexts, you almost get a sense of how the grammar is done, So as I learned more, I was able to like say sentences, I guess, that I didn't necessarily learn just like a memorized specific phrase that was written down for me. It was like kind of piecing together what I know. And then you kind of learn that like conjugation of certain verbs kind of follows like a similar pattern. So it's almost like natural to say it, I don't know. I can't, it's hard for me to explain it, but as you just like expand your vocabulary and your practice and everything like that, you kind of you just get a sense of how the language works.
Right. So, Japan Language Factory, we have a mission as a school is to actually make people to become a bilingual as quickly as possible in the fastest way. So I'm asking this question to everybody. So as you, Alex, by experience this method, if somebody actually asks you, Japan Language Factory is not the traditional method, how you can describe what kind of method it is?
I think it's a focused effort to learn like what you want to learn in a way that's useful to you. It's like if you look at, I guess, traditional methods, the same way that like the way I learned, like we would learn Spanish in high school, there's a textbook, and then there's a curriculum, and it's like, okay, first you're going to study this, then learn this, then get tested on it, and you're going to read and write and do all these things. But most people who want to learn Japanese, unless your goal is to like come here, work here, live here, whatever, whether you're just like visiting, or maybe even if you do want to live here, like you don't necessarily need to be able to like read and write. The majority of people, I think, like you just need to be able to interact. If you don't know what something says, like your phone will tell you basically what it says, like written down, translated. And even if it doesn't give you something great, like you could put it in like Chat GPT or something, and it's actually like this is the way it would be in English, where if you want to do that. But this method teaches you what you actually want to learn that's going to be useful to you in the situations that you're going to be in or are already in, vice just following a curriculum. Because if you follow like a textbook, you may be like 8 9 months in before you learn how to talk about your dog or your girlfriend, like.
True.
So with this being like targeted, it gets you like you kind of hit the ground running, and then you're able to build from there. And then once you've like kind of learned some of the things you've wanted to, that actually puts you, well, I guess if you live here, it puts you in other situations where you like, okay, now I want to learn this. Okay, how do I say this? Or I was in this interaction and this person said this to me. How do I say that? Like what, or how do I say it in Japanese? Like I want to say that, like, so it gives you that opportunity, and then it's going to make you want to actually like practice and interact more, which will help you learn faster.
Thank you. Amazing. Thank you so much. So, Alex, so as a the person who live in Okinawa, just 6 months, it's still new, but also I'm sure another American people coming to Japan this year, 2025. I'm sure when people actually arrive, wow, like the language is totally different. They feel
Mm,
too difficult because the Japanese character show you like so difficult, seems like.
mhm,
So,
mhm.
do you have any message to them that is you can also learn? Do you have any message?
Yeah, I think it's if you just say I want to learn Japanese, that's very like daunting, and like it could take years or you're learning it for the rest of your life. But if you chop that down to I want to learn how to, I don't know, order a drink at the bar, or like I want to learn how to order this thing at a restaurant, or I want to learn how to like get in a taxi and be like, can you take me here? Just simple things like, okay, I want to learn this basic interaction. You get to just jump right into that. And based on how you teach the flow of conversation, like that will allow you to just get a start. And once you actually get in a real situation where you use that, even if it's a 1 minute conversation, it feels really cool. I guess there's no other way to explain it. It feels really great. And you're like, wow. And then you're kind of like, wow, I did that. Like, okay, I am like learning this language. And then you progress from there.
Amazing. So, Alex, thank you so much. You gave me so many inspiration and also advice to a lot of people. Enjoy trip and enjoy your progress.
Thank you.